Hello and welcome to Pokemon Unite Live. This is a breakdown video on how you can win as a solo player playing ranked queues. Everyone knows that with the introduction of mobile, there has been an exponential increase of players AFKing from the game. Being the case, it is still possible to win a ranked match with only 4 players. In this video, I will show you how. Starting with some introductions, the character I've chosen is Charmander and finishing with Charizard. An all-rounder with it being physically strong. At the start of the game, the normal stuff that everyone does is to farm. So here is the first tip that I'll give you. Take note of your ball count. Try not to let it go beyond 20 while farming, because then it takes a huge amount of time when you're trying to score. Your first and main priority is to score goals and take down enemies' bases, not to take down opponents. In the case where you have a huge number of balls in your pocket, your main aim is not to die, but what you should do is to try and sneak around your opponents to score. It is much easier to play when you take down opponents' bases because they will not be able to get out of their base so easily because they will lose their speed lanes and healing abilities. Okay, so here is tip number 2. Return to the base if your health is at 25% or below. There is no use running around to continue farming or fighting if your health is at below 25%. Okay, so if you see in the video right now, we are at the 7-minute mark. Some players have possibly already upgraded their skills to the maximum, so it is too easy to be taken out at this stage with your health being this low, and it will not help your team. Okay, so do return to your base if your health is at 25% or below. Tip number 3. Always keep a lookout on your map on the top left corner. Do not run into areas where the opposing team members are gathering. It is definitely suicidal to go into the zone alone with maybe 4 players in front of you and you as a single player. Tip number 4. Try to prevent your opponents from taking Dreadnought. Dreadnought and Rotom are team fights, but Dreadnought is significantly better than Rotom because it gives the team that beats it a shield that will last about 30 seconds, and also additional experience points which will tip the balance of the game. In this scene, you can see me trying to prevent my opponents from killing Dreadnought. During a game, Dreadnought can appear twice, maybe even 3 times. Try to make sure that your team takes one of those chances, as it will definitely give you a boost. I would recommend to even sacrifice the outermost top base to defeat Dreadnought. It is definitely a worthy sacrifice. Tip number 5. Go in pairs or as a team once the time reaches 3 minutes or less. It definitely does not help if you are trying to take down goals solo unless you can sneak past opponents, and you should always bring backup just in case after you score you can take on your opponents. Tip number 6. So this tip references the first tip. Never ever hold the maximum number of balls and walk around. Okay, why? There are 2 parts of this show that reference this, because players, mainly those from China who do not realize or know that you should deposit your balls into the goals as quickly as possible. There is no reason why people should be walking around with the maximum number of balls. 1, you can get mugged and lose those 40 balls, which could have been 40 points for your team if you scored. And 2, if you continue fighting, let's say you defeat someone or you farm with those 40 balls still in your pocket, then you cannot collect balls that drop from the Pokemon that you take down. So that's just selfish, because there won't always be people around you to try and clean up your balls, the leftover balls that you drop on the floor. So you are just leaving free points lying around for people, like the opposing team to just claim. Okay, these free points can be the difference between you winning or losing. Normally for players, if you constantly score during the first 8 minutes of the match, you can probably score over 100 points in total. Okay, so let's assume every player in your team, so 5. If every player does that, your team will have a minimum of 500 points, which is the basic benchmark to ensure that you actually win. Okay, tip number 7. What to do during the final 2 minutes. So for this part, I'm going to break it down into 2 parts. The first part is what to do if your team is winning. Do not go and fight Zapdos, and let me give you 3 reasons why. First of all, Zapdos is an extremely powerful creature. Okay, so firstly, when you're winning, the opposing team will probably swarm to attack Zapdos. And if they win that battle, most of them will not have their full skills or health available after that. That is the best time to take them all out, because their entire team will be at their weakest. Okay, number 2 is, granted, if Zapdos is defeated, right, your goals will also be vulnerable, but take note of the first point, right? It does not do the other team good if your guys are there to defend your goals. So even if the other team takes down Zapdos, right, you can still defend your goal and take the other team down because they would be at their weakest stage, right? So let's talk about what happens if you are losing. Well, my advice is to survey your team. If your team is not helping you out by scoring, then you probably will lose the match. Normally you can tell if people around you are doing their part by helping to score goals, but if they aren't, then my advice is to just try and farm as many balls as possible and try to score in the opponent's goals as much as possible. Okay, but in the event where everyone is playing their part and you are just basically outmatched by skill and experience from the opposing team, then my suggestion is to go as a group to take down Zapdos, then go as a group to take down each goal. Do not split up after taking down Zapdos to try and cover as many goals, because like I said in the first part, when you defeat Zapdos, your life and skills will probably be depleted, right? So during the 2-minute mark, scoring at one location is ample and enough to turn the tides. Like I said, your team will probably be weak, so in this case you need everyone to cover each other while trying to score your 50 or 20 points per person that you just received from Zapdos. Okay, so that is my 7 tips for playing ranked in Pokemon Unite. Please do help me by liking this video, subscribing and sharing this video to your friends who play this game.